In our first story, teaching and learning as the Kumasi Technical University is said to have come to a halt as Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana (TUTAG) has embarked on a strike. Students have had to loiter on the school premises, confused as to what to do. Prince Appiah has been monitoring the situation and joins us for more. Prince, tell us about this situation. Right, we will be speaking to Prince Appiah shortly, but let's hear from some of the students.
The strike action is very, very worrying to the students because currently we've not had our results and we also don't know our right and left with lectures. And so it is very worrying. We are very peeved about it.
I'm a final year student and we have to graduate from, I think, August going. So it's quite unfortunate and it will affect us. So we are pleading on the government to come on a consensus with the lecturers for them to just come back to classroom. Thank you.
Specifically, as a final year student, what are the things you are doing that you think is going to affect you? Your project work?
Our project work, and currently our course outline has not yet been in. We don't even know our results right now. And since we don't know our course outline, we don't know the kind of books to refer to read. So it's very, very bad, very, very bad.
Really, this strike came on last year. We all knew that TUTAG went on strike last year, and at that time I was in level 100. And definitely, please, it affected our academical because they took 2 months on strike, and whereby this year 2021, TUTAG lecturers have also gone for strike. And please, it is affecting us. Class was supposed to fill with students, whereby you enter a class that is empty. You see only chairs and boards there. So we are pleading on behalf of the government that COVID costs a lot, and then because of that, we spent about 9 months at home during the era of COVID. Now we resume on school on 2nd of this month, whereby TUTAG lecturers have gone on strike. So please, we are pleading on behalf of the government that you should take action towards this so that.
Let's speak to Prince Appiah now. Prince, it looks like a very worrying situation on the Kumasi Technical University campus. What more have you gathered?
So what I've gathered is that since the weekend, no lecturer has visited any of the classrooms to teach the students. And since then till now, the students have had to loiter on campus and stand and sit in groups, discuss one thing or the other. Others have decided to stay in their rooms and wait until they hear any good news that the lectures are back. Others have also decided not to come to campus at all. So that is what is happening, Ghana.
Have you seen any lecturers at all?
Truthfully, when I got to campus, I didn't see any lecture at all. The classrooms were empty. You could only find students who were trying to, make good the strike, try to read one thing or the other, and some few administrators that you could see around. But for lectures, I didn't see any of them.
Right. Prince, has the school authority spoken in any way?
The information we gathered is that the school authorities are not ready to speak about it. They are saying that we should direct everything to their leadership. And as I speak to all the leadership, have all moved to Accra, holding a meeting for this particular issue.
Prince Appiah, thank you very much for bringing us those updates from the Kumasi Technical University. Let's move to other parts of the country, and in the northern region, some students of the Tamale Technical University are worried that the strike by TUTAG could worsen their already late start of lectures. The students said lectures are yet to take shape after 4 weeks, and with this situation, it would affect them direly. We'll get more details from Martina Bugri later in the bulletin, but in the meantime, the Fix the Country campaigners say they are hopeful of obtaining a judicial blessing for their planned street protest, which has been outstanding for weeks. The group says it will, in the interim, continue to mobilize in preparation. The last few weeks have seen the group barred by a court order from protesting. This order was set aside by the Supreme Court, but another application seeking to stop the protest remains outstanding. This was to be heard this morning, but late filing of documents resulted in an adjournment of the matter to 21st June. Member of the group Brownson Adache has been explaining the group's next line of action. We hear from Brownson Adache later, but the minority in Parliament is calling the bluff of the minority over threats that they will pull the brakes on the appointment of Martin Ejay-Mensah as Deputy Minister for Local Government. The minority boycotted his vetting last week over unresolved issues surrounding the violence that characterized the 2020 elections in Techiman South that led to the death of 2 people. The minority has served notice it will not support his approval as the plenary. NPP MP for Ekuapem South, Osebuntu Amwa, who is the other Deputy Minister designate for local government, says it is not the minority which will decide the fate of Martin Ejay-Mensah. We'll hear from him. But the Appointments Committee is vetting 4 other nominees today, including the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister designate Thomas Mbamba, whose session lasted for less than 10 minutes. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us live. Joseph, what does a 10 minutes vetting look like? Right, apologies for that. We will bring you those voices later in the bulletin. Now, a 22-year-old man was nearly lynched by residents of Ofinso Abofo in the Ashanti region on suspicion of abducting 2 girls in the community. The severely assaulted suspect, known as Kweku Buahin, was later handed over to the police. He's alleged to have lured the 4-year-old girls to a secluded bushy area a mile away from their home. The incident comes in the wake of children going missing in the area, with 1 found murdered. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko was in the community and now reports.
Matilda and Samira, both 4 years old, are siblings. Here, in this quiet Abofo suburb, is where they live and play together. About a mile from their home is this bushy area where this elderly woman produces charcoal for sale. Around 9 a.m. Thursday, she heard the children crying inside the bush. I was packing firewood here, she says, when I heard a child crying. When I moved towards them, I saw the suspect standing in the bush with the 2 girls. So I asked the children, "What are you doing here in the bush?" According to her, she found the suspect standing with the children inside this undergrowth.
So she's showing me the exact spot where she saw the suspect and the children standing. And this is just behind this pigsty in these bushes.
They were standing right here. When I intervened, he turned his back towards me. And when I raised the alarm, he fled through the bush right here. The woman suspected foul play and raised an alarm. The suspect took to his heels but was later arrested by a mob who nearly lynched him. Other eyewitnesses say they saw the suspect with a sack. I met him here and I asked him if he was the one who was being pursued, and he said no, so I left him. By the time I found out he was the one they were chasing, he was gone. He was holding a sack and a rope. They even tied his hands with a sack when they arrested him. Police had a tough time controlling the crowd that besieged the Abofo police station. The alleged victims have since been reunited with their parents, whilst the suspect is receiving treatment at the St. Patrick Hospital of Finso.
Now, a lot needs to be established by the police in this particular case of alleged child abduction. But clearly, this is a town, Offenso, Abofo, Offenso and its environs is plagued by a common threat. People disappearing, children being killed, children going missing. And so there is a heightened sense of fear amongst the people here, and people have become alert to that threat. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Offenso, Abofo, Ashanti region.
Let's stay in the Ashanti region because residents of Ejisu Jamase were awakened to the stench of a decomposing body of an unidentified man who was buried in an uncompleted building. This is the 5th suspected murder case to be recorded in that peri-urban community. The most recent was a 16-year-old student of Dwabing SHS whose body was also discovered in an uncompleted building. Her death sparked attacks on a fetish priest whose house was torched after the youth in the community accused him of being behind the deaths. Ohiming Teria has more.
The latest victim is yet to be identified. The monk's decomposing body was discovered several days after residents had lived with an unpleasant smell in their homes. George Chramatin is the assemblyman for Besiansi Jamasi electoral area. Residents say they now live in fear and want the police to bring closure to investigations into already reported murder cases. They also want the local Ejisu Municipal Assembly to provide street lights in areas under development. As a first step, residents want all hands on deck as they form a neighborhood watch committee to complement the efforts of police.
Last time, by the Assam call my police for Abba, Abenshim. And so who will be Aquaquisi? Oh, sorry, I will say, young volunteer, Unipo hat wolf. I'm a Modico police station. I'm a model Mosam Yinako, 2 videos, and before more. I check who they will be happy because Mekai, Madame for the Bramoas, so I'm a beton Modiaco. Ubicra, 12 fear. I could hide down with baby, or Mamma hide down with her, who got boy Jamasidia, Ubiasi Jamasi, Kunipoa. A kunkum say yan a wokrumha. We can I think this is the 5th time you kumnipa okrumha say. And maybe I be kumnipa, you be free radio for, you be free police for. On baba ya de also moye, and so still I dare air cosono no. Mantem ha ina kane ani ha. Ntu hwe kane ani ha, we be jira no odi bone a. Easy so be di bone na wako. Mumma kane emra ha.
I do be a brave because every year bia no asefo for na dey sie nipa kumu ni ade no enkoye. To land was in bibinti maton. Koye bia no asenfo frɛ dai esi ntimisuro na makra ko school ase meyu mu nyina fia ko fumasa komisuro. Police
have since released the body for burial pending further investigations. From Ejisu for Joy News, Ohiming Teria reporting.
Back to our earlier story now, where students of the Tamale Technical University are bearing the brunt of the two-tax strike, which began today.
Friday, we heard about it. Actually, we heard it on Friday, but then we didn't know it would be serious today. So when we came, we called the lecturers and they said, don't you know they are on strike? They won't be able to come. But then since we resumed, this is the 4th week. We haven't had any serious class, and then it's left with about 4 weeks for us to finish class and then write exam. And this is the 4th week. We have 4 weeks left, which we haven't done any serious studies. So you can imagine how it is. We haven't learned anything. I guess we are going to write exam. So you can imagine, no handouts. We don't have any information. Even some of the lecturers haven't come to class. So you can imagine, some have come, they just introduced the topics about 2. The rest haven't come to class. We don't have handouts, we don't have anything. And then they will expect us to write exam. So it's to me, I'm very sad because I've come to school to learn, which nothing of that sort is going on. No activities, we are just there. So to me, that is very sad. We are pleading on the government to do their possible best to put things in order for teachers to come back and then school resume, classes will resume.
In fact, as we came, the place is very quiet, and in fact, the place is very boring, and we don't know what to do. As we are here, we don't know whether to even go home or what to even do. They didn't tell us.
Martina Bugri joins us with more details. Martina, so when you visited the campus, what did you see?
It's a virtual holiday for all the students. The school is very quiet. Most of the students stayed in their dormitories, and the few who came around just loitered around. If you go into the classrooms are very empty. Just maybe one or two who are doing their own and apart from that, the school is virtually deserted. And the students are saying that already they have the problem because for the past 4 weeks now, lectures hasn't been that serious. And so this distraction is going to compound their already bad situation.
Right, now have the university authorities spoken in any way? Are there any remedial measures they could put in place, for instance?
For now, they are yet to respond to what is happening because you go to all the departments, you have nobody to talk to. So we are yet to get response from the university communications department on the measures they will put in place to address the situation whilst they look on that government resolve the issue.
Now, Martina, as you know, having reported on strikes over the years, normally when there's a strike there, association executives come around the campuses to ensure that their members are compliant with the directive. Has that been necessary today, or the lecturers themselves decided not to come?
The lecturers themselves decided not to come, and so you won't find even a single lecturer on campus. Nobody is there. They themselves are complying. They don't need to be forced. We are being told. They said they agree with their executive 100%, and so they would comply until their issues are addressed. That's what I'm getting from some of them I spoke to.
Right. Are they not concerned, these persons you spoke to, that the students' education will be affected?
They are very concerned, but they also say that they also have a concern that over the years, government has failed to address. And so anytime they go on strike, they are compelled to camp because of the sympathy they have for these students. But that can't continue. They would need to stop it at a point. And they think that this is the time to stop.
Thank you very much for bringing us those details. Let's go back to Parliament, where the majority is calling the bluff of the minority over threats from the latter. They will pull the brakes on the appointment of Martin Mensah-Kosa as Deputy Minister for Local Government. The minority boycotted his vetting last week over unresolved issues surrounding the violence that characterized the 2020 elections in the Techiman South constituency that led to the death of 2 people. The minority has served notice it will also not support his approval as the plenary. MPP MP for Ikuapem South, Osebun Suamwa, says it is the majority which will decide his fate, not the minority.
You can comment on the report, all right. You may even raise the issue that you think it should not be accepted. But your grounds should be based on his qualification when he appeared before us, and whether he was really qualified to be recommended to the House.
So the expectation is that they probably shouldn't even partake in whatever the approval processes will be.
For those that they didn't come, yes, that is what I expect from them. But if they choose to reverse what they've done today and come and debate, we are ready. We will debate, and then eventually, if they think that because they didn't take part, it shouldn't be by consensus, the process will go on.
In fact, the indication they've given is that they will make sure the House rejects his approval on the floor.
I mean, at the end of the day, we vote. Yeah. The majority will decide whether the person should be approved or rejected. You're making sure it doesn't really lie in your bosom, because at the end of the day, it's the numbers which will count. You may decide to encourage all your members not to vote in a particular direction, but still the majority will decide.
Let's now hear a bit of today's vetting of Deputy Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Thomas Mbamba. We understand he spent only 10 minutes there. Listen.
Recently, Ghana has also been a member of the Security Council. We are all aware the Security Council is a very strong organ of the UN, and our membership is going to help Ghana and the rest of West African countries in terms of security, in terms of peace, and in terms of getting voice on the Security Council.
So generally, you are looking at supporting your minister to successfully implement our foreign policy programs without more. That's the assurance you want to.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You're live on Joy News today. Now, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey, has described the country's election to the UN Security Council as a laudable one. She said the feat goes to attest to the country's impressive performance on conflict and security situations among member states in the bloc. She gave more highlights on the benefits the country stands to enjoy following its election to the UN Security Council at a press briefing this morning. Now, she has also been explaining how challenging it's been for the country to secure the Sputnik V vaccines in the wake of raging controversies regarding alleged procurement corruption.
Current condition of Ghana's relations with Russia, excellent. We have no problems whatsoever with Russia. Now, when it comes to engagements concerning, say, procurement or whatever, the first step is the Foreign Ministry engaging the embassy here, because Russia is represented by an ambassador. I had discussions with the Russian ambassador on Ghana's desire to purchase vaccines from Russia. Actually, it wasn't just Russia, but we did so with the Chinese as well, also with the Indians. Let's put it in this context, that it is difficult, extremely so, even if you have money to procure vaccines from the source. It is almost impossible. Because just as Ghana is looking for vaccines to buy, all nations are also looking for vaccines to buy. And so it becomes quite difficult to get vaccines even from the source. But I can assure you that we made contact and we still continue to pursue getting the vaccines. It has not been easy at all, not just for Ghana, but for any of our countries, and not just for Africa, but also for other countries around the world. Whether we were involved, yes, from the beginning we were involved, but I can assure you that it is difficult to procure vaccines directly from manufacturers. And I'll give you an example. The example of India. His Excellency the President actually made calls at his level. I made calls at my level. Apart from speaking to the High Commissioner, I made calls at my level. It was just impossible to get these vaccines. So that's what I can say. This is what you asked me, my involvement. But whatever decision government takes, the responsibility is all of us. So it's a collective responsibility, and it's a collective decision that was taken. The most important is the influence of Ghana is going to soar very high. And that in itself will bring us benefits, the material benefits that we all find very important. Without these things, without us having a voice, if we do not present our voice, the voice of Africa, the perspectives of Africa, nobody is going to listen to us, because the world has become a place where everybody is looking after his or her own. So influence of Ghana on the world stage will bring the material benefits, foreign direct investment, all the positive things that will help our economic development. This is the basis for that kind of
Foreign Affairs Minister there, Shirley Ayoko Botre. Now, some hope is coming for the people of Onyinanufo as the traditional authority takes up a task to help in the reconstruction of the village. 3 people, including a 2-year-old, died in a tanker explosion which left 104 persons homeless after 10 homes were destroyed. Otumfuo's Hiahine, Professor Ohineba Boakye Eje, who is leading the reconstruction efforts, believes a concerted effort will be needed to shelter the displaced. Daniel Juma takes a trip back to Onyinanufo and brings us the latest from the village.
It's been 3 weeks since the Onyinanufo tanker accident, which led to destruction of half of the village by fire. The people continue to complain about the psychological torture of waking up to see the tanker lying in the middle of the community. The accident, which killed a toddler, is still fresh on the minds of many, especially mother of the boy, Dina Esiedu. She says, the sight of the tanker alone is worrying. I can't even use this route. I can't forget what I saw on the day, and my son too. The stench of the fuel which spread through the community is still in the atmosphere. Residents fear adverse health effects and have called for emergency healthcare assistance. Nana Asau Abibio is chief of Yoso. We still smell the fuel and the smoke that engulfed the community. It worsens when it rains. Some people complain of headache and cough often. Government should help us fix this problem. Most of the homes destroyed by the fire have been pulled down completely. Owners are financially challenged to reconstruct the homes. Since the incident happened, many have been putting up in homes of benevolent individuals, crowding their rooms. Others continue to sleep in mosques and churches with no hope in sight. Otumfuo Hiahine, Professor Ohineba Boakye J. Wahine II, says rebuilding affected homes cannot be left to the victims alone.
We are going to establish a reconstruction committee, Onyinanufo Town Reconstruction Committee. I will sit down with my chiefs. If they can come to our aid in reconstructing the 10 homes, we will be very appreciative. We will do the best we can to help these families. And if anyone is interested in helping, to please contact me.
As a relief, the chief has presented food items and clothing to affected persons. Reporting for Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Onyinanufo.
You're live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. It's time for business. Stay with us.
And hi, good afternoon. Welcome to business. My name is Darrell Kwao. ARB Apex Bank recorded profit before tax of 5.9 million cedis for the financial year 2020. According to the managing director, Kojo Mata, activities in rural banking increased despite the advent of COVID-19. Here's more from the bank's annual general meeting.
Apex recorded an appreciable last year. The bank's profits soared by 482% from 1 million cedis in 2019. Managing Director for the bank, Kojo Mata, revealed that rural banks increased their deposits despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have seen a lot of enthusiasm in the activities of the rural and community banks. The deposits of the RCBs have grown significantly in 2020. Up to about 5.5 billion, from 4 billion thereabouts. Even though there were issues about COVID, we saw a lot of confidence reposed in the rural and community banks. That also reflected in the deposits of ARB Apex Bank and has also resulted in a significant growth in the profitability of ARB Apex Bank from 1 million in 2019 to 5.9 million in 2020.
Board Chairman Dr. Anthony Albin accounted to shareholders some investments made by the ARB Apex Bank.
Your bank continued to invest heavily in infrastructure to support the smooth running of our RCBs. Besides the $8 million funding from the Ministry of Finance and the World Bank, the board recently approved an additional $1.2 million to support the upgrade of the data center and the disaster recovery site to avert any interruptions in the operations of the RCBs.
In other news, oil marketing firm Petrosol Ghana Limited says it is committed to delivering quality fuel and lubricants to customers after receiving triple certification from the International Organization for Standardization. The company operates over 100 service stations and has paid more than 500 million cedis in taxes to government since 2014. Chief Executive Officer of Petrosol, Michael Bozumbil, was speaking to Joy Business after presenting its ISO certificates to regulators. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more.
Since 2014, Petrosol Ghana Limited has made excellence its hallmark. The company operates over 100 service stations and has paid more than 500 million Ghana cedis in taxes to government since it began operations. Prior to receiving the triple ISO certification, its internal systems and processes for procuring, storing, distributing and marketing fuel and lubricants were subjected to international audits. Chief Executive Officer of Petrosol Ghana Limited, Michael Bozumbil, says the latest achievement will push the company to do more.
It is an assurance to the customer that Petrosol is committed to delivering quality fuel in full quantity to them. So we have internal processes, systems and procedures that we've put in place to ensure that what we promise we are able to deliver. And it also means that we're able to do so in an environmentally safe and sustainable manner. So this to us is key. And to the government, it is an assurance that Petrosol will source its products from legitimate sources and pay the right taxes to the state.
Head of Marketing and Strategy at Petrosol Ghana, Kwesi Ziga, is encouraging consumers to patronize their products as the company sticks to safety and quality standards.
It means that in our network of over 100 stations across the country, we deliver consistently the clean fuel in full quantity. It also means that in the course of service at any of our stations, as a consumer, you can be assured that you are protected. You will not be put in harm's way. You can also be assured of air quality that you breathe in the course of service at any of our Petrosol stations, because we have systems in place to make sure the air quality, the petroleum product do not pollute the environment, the drains in the various communities that we operate.
And that's your business update for now. More coming up at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Up next, sports. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, good afternoon. Let's do some sports news now on Joy News today with me, Muftar Nabila Abdullahi. Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, commissioned an ultra-modern AstroTurf in Ajingano in the Adentan municipality to serve as a ground for the development of young talents in the game of football. According to him, the government is committed to honing the talents of youth. There's more in the following report.
6 months ago, the Ajigano Community Park was in a terrible condition, grassless and undulating. But today, it is an ultra-modern FIFA standard pitch adorned with floodlights. This latest AstroTurf brings to about 50 the number of green turfs the Akufo-Addo government has constructed in various communities in the country. Speaking at the commissioning, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, said the impressive represented a clear departure of the situation prior to the MPP assuming office in 2017.
The commissioning of this edifice adds to the remarkable number of modern astroturfs built in various communities across the country in the past 4 years, in fulfillment of the promise to bring modern sports infrastructure to the community, district, regional, and national levels. The remarkable spread of astroturfs around the country in 4 years under the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is a clear departure from what pertained before we took office in 2017. Prior to 2017, there were only 2 astroturfs, public astroturfs, in the entire country, just 2. Over the last 4 years, over 54 astroturfs have been constructed across the country.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on Joe News today. Now, legendary indigenous gospel musician Yaw Sarpong has finally put rumors of him being married to his bandmate Tiwa to rest. The musician revealed Tiwa is more like a family member, and every other thing said are just speculations.
So, and your wife, we've never heard about your wife before, and people are speculating that it's Auntie Tiwa that you're married to.
No.
I saw a publication on, I think it was a video, something on YouTube, that Yaw Sarpong explains something about Tiwa.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Oh, it's not. Tiwa is not my wife. I just picked Tiwa because of music, and he's very good.
Yeah.
So he's with me since 1981. And a lot of people think that, why can a lady work with somebody?
Yes.
But that's because Tiwa firstborn, he was with me before he gave his firstborn and secondborn. He was with me with my wife.
Okay.
So my wife knows Tiwa is not my wife. Everybody and plenty people know, but at that time we don't have a name. People don't know us.
Yes.
But because the name has reached people, anybody is talking what he likes.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News today. My name is Becky.